Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jennifer Tilghman of the Tilghman team of Keller Williams Preferred Properties. And as we do monthly, we like to bring one of our partners on board with us to share some ideas with you, some information that's useful. We love giving back to our community with resources. And so today we are interviewing Rhonda Lewis with Benchmark Mortgage.
Yes.
And Rhonda, I'd like to just open it up to you and ask you to share a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you got started in the mortgage financing business.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I always welcome the opportunity to share the years of knowledge that I have gained in this industry with others so that it can empower them to be able to move forward with purchasing a home. So I'm Rhonda Lewis. I am a sales manager here at Benchmark. I've been originating mortgage loans right here in the DMV. November will be 28 years.
Wow.
And I'm that person that just absolutely loves what I do. I wake up in the morning with energy and enthusiasm thinking about the people who I get to assist and the ways that I get to serve. I am a native Prince George's Countian, if that's a word. I've been
Yes.
living in Prince George's County. I've been a resident next month. Actually, this month is 55 years that I have actually been a resident of Prince George's County. So I went to school here. I currently live here. So um, I'm very, very committed to serving this DMV area. So I actually started my career in the mortgage industry like most people did in the mortgage business. And that's just kind of just stumbling into it. Most people don't go to school and say, hey, I want to go to school to learn how to do mortgage loans. They just kind of stumble into it. And I actually started off as a realtor. I was
Oh,
a
wow.
realtor first for a few years, and I figured out very quickly that wasn't my
That
thing. I
wasn't
kind
for
of
you.
like the number side of everything better, and so I went into the housing counseling business. I was working for a nonprofit, the director of their housing counseling program, and that's where I really got a heart for service and serving in this capacity before I actually started originating mortgage loans in November of 95. The company I'm with now is Benchmark Mortgage. We are a direct national lender. So we lend all over the country. And, I'm proud to be working for a company that is committed to not just serving our community, but also specifically serving veterans as well, because I do have a heart for service in that veteran space as well.
Okay, well that's wonderful. And we enjoy having you as one of our preferred partners in
Thank
the
you.
mortgage world. So, in your role,
Mhm.
Rhonda, what would you say is important to a home buyer?
When you say so, when I think about people actually looking for a mortgage lender, I think that a lot of times people kind of go about that the wrong way.
Hmm.
And um, I think that most people think that the only thing they need to be looking for is the absolute lowest interest rate.
Hmm.
And so I think that it's important for people to understand what the role is that a mortgage loan officer plays. So I I always tell my clients that they can look at me as like their soldier on the battlefield. So I'm like their soldier that's trying to work with them to fight for them so that they can reach their goal of closing on their home. And so that loan officer role is important because it's a time for me to connect with my clients. Number one, find out what their goals are, really talk to them and find out what their goals are, not just sending them to a website to do an application, but really talking to them, finding out what their goals are, finding out what their reason is for wanting a home. and helping them to reach that goal in a manner that's important to them. That's very, very important. So there's no cookie cutter service here. Everybody is an individual. I always say everybody has their own financial thumbprint.
Hmm.
And so I can't tell you and you and you and you all to do the same things because everybody's situation is different and unique to them and the experiences that they have had. So just looking for someone that you can connect with, someone who has access to the different products and services that may benefit you, someone who's looking to find out what is important to you and finding out more about what your entire financial profile looks like before they just start, telling you what type of loan and shooting you interest rates. So that's the thing that I think a lot of people miss out on.
Right, right, right. And I think that that's one of the reasons we connected so well, because we're looking at that person and their whole being, and
Absolutely.
what's, what is their why? Why do they want to purchase right now? And in my
Absolutely.
case, why do you want to sell, or why do you want to buy a home at this time? And like you said, finding out everything about them so that you can be of best service to them. So yes, I do. I think that that's one of the reasons we really connected. Yes, because
Absolutely.
we're looking at the same thing. And so if a buyer is coming to you
Mhm.
and they are looking to purchase maybe in the next 6 months or so, what would you start telling them to do to prepare for that?
That's a great question. So I think a lot of times people think that um, before they can even come to the lender, they need to have all their ducks in a row. People think, oh, I need to have everything straight and I need to be ready. And most people don't come to us with all their ducks in a row. Our job is to help them figure out what the ducks are and help them figure out how to get those ducks lined up.
Yeah.
And so even if you're not thinking about purchasing for another 6 months, 6 months is a really good time frame to talk to a lender so that we can look at your entire financial profile and map out a plan, map out some things, because we don't want you to wait 6 months and then you're like, oh, okay, I'm ready. And then we take a look at everything and I'm like, you need to work on tweaking this, or we need to get your scores up, or you need to save a little money. If we had talked 6 months ago, you could have been working on those things. So
Mm.
at that 6 month point, go ahead and reach out to someone who can look at your credit, who can review your income, who can look at your assets and talk to you about the programs that are out there to assist you. I didn't tell you guys, I'm also known as the program queen.
Mhm.
The program queen, because I specialize in down payment and closing costs assistance programs, especially for first time buyers. So, talking to someone and finding out just, really what's out there so that you can at least have a plan mapped out so that in that 6 months, you really will be ready.
Right. And that's very good. And I am going to be asking you because I know buyers want to know
Hmm.
about the programs and interest rates and all of that stuff. But
Yeah.
right now, I want to ask you, what has been maybe your biggest challenge?
Well, so you mean like recently or just in my whole career?
Yeah, well, whatever you might want to share. You might have
Well,
a story that's way back there
yeah.
that was
Oh,
one of
oh,
your
I've got
biggest
plenty of
challenges.
those. So, so as we all know, there was a long period of time where interest rates were incredibly low. And so, as I was saying before, I've been originating for 28 years. So I've seen rates, I've seen the markets do a whole lot of things. And so we've been in an incredibly low interest rate market for so long that it became normal to
Yes.
most people for rates to be in the twos and the threes and the fours. And
Yeah.
so when we had this sudden increase in interest rates about a year ago, it kind of threw everybody for a loop.
Hmm.
And so the biggest challenge that I have seen over the last year is the conversations that I'm having with clients about um, not allowing the changes in the interest rates deter them from pursuing home ownership, because home ownership is still very important. Home ownership is still the easiest way for us to create generational wealth. And so the challenge has been trying to get people's mindset past that idea that, interest rates are so high
Right.
and I'm going to wait for them to come down and I'm going to wait for the bottom to fall out of the market and prices to just drop so I can get something cheap. And,
Yeah.
that's just not the reality of it. And the people who know, the people who know that, what the advantages are of purchasing in an increased rate market have done so, and they are doing so. And
Hmm.
so just being able to share that information and get that information across, to get buyers, to help buyers to figure out how they can move forward without waiting, because that waiting game is not is
Right.
doesn't work out, and you know that.
Yes.
You're waiting for people, may be waiting for interest rates to come down, but if the rates come down a little and the prices are continuing to go up, it's a wash. It like
Yeah.
washes itself out.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right. Yep, that is so true. You know, and then we can remember when interest rates were even higher than where they are now. So
absolutely,
it's
absolutely.
yeah, so
When
you
I
know, just,
when I bought my first house in 1988, interest rates were, actually it was the beginning of 89. My rate was at 10.5%. And I was scrambling, trying to come up with the rest of the money that I needed for closing. And I remember my lender called me and said, "Look, if you don't close by this date, the rate's gonna go up to 11." And I thought, "Oh my God, I gotta get that 10 and a half. I,
yeah,
I have to have that 10 and a half." And of course, I didn't keep a 10.5% rate. But
of course. Yeah.
it was a time, and it was a way for me to be able to get in to the market. I think people are, you know, I use the story about jumping double dutch.
Mm-hmm.
So, anybody who's ever jumped double dutch knows that the hardest part is getting in,
In.
right?
That's true.
That rope is turning, and I think buyers are looking for like the rope to stop, open up, and pause and let
Hmm.
them step in,
Right.
when the reality is that it's
Yes.
turning like this.
Yeah.
And if you can find your chance to get in, because once we're in,
Yeah.
we
We got
start
it.
we start getting it, right?
That's
And
right. That's
so
right.
giving, being able to share that information and being able to reach as many people as I can during this time period has probably been the most challenging for
Yeah.
me. Yeah,
Yes. And I'm so happy we're having this session because it's so valuable to our viewers. So
absolutely.
after thinking about that biggest challenge, what would you say is your biggest joy that you find in providing this service to others? Yes, I know, I know. Because it is such a joy when we go to that closing table. Yes.
there is um there is just no feeling that equates to the joy of knowing that you played a part in helping somebody get to home ownership,
Yeah.
helping someone who thought it was impossible for them, who thought they would never be able to do it, that's something that other people get, that nobody in their family has ever obtained, that they've always wanted to live in a house, and being able to work with them and being able to play a role in their story and helping to them to achieve that dream is a feeling like no other. I just had closing uh, last week with a young lady who was using one of the down payment assistance programs in DC, HPAP, and we'll talk more about it. But that program was contributing over $200,000
Oh,
in
wow.
down payment and closing cost assistance. And this young lady, she's a single mother with two young boys, you know, income not very high. She was able to purchase a brand new townhome, and she brought her sons to closing, and I was done. I was just done just watching her sign her papers, and asking her sons. I was like, are you proud of your mother? Are you
Yeah.
proud of her? Every all this that she went through to make this happen, she did this for you. And it was just, I
Yeah.
just it just never gets old. It
Right.
never gets old. It's what fuels me. I really quick story for me. Everybody has their why. Everybody has that thing that that motivates them. So mine is, I grew up in low income housing, and my parents, my father, during my entire childhood, my father was always saving up money to get a house. We grew up in an apartment, and my father just always wanted a house, and we were always saving. We couldn't go this place because we saving to get a house. And we would have these spurts of moments where we would actually go out looking for homes, and I was always like, well, when are we going to get a house? And
Mhm.
we were just always saving up. And my father finally, he had a piece of land that he owned, and he ended up building a house on a piece of land. And that was in 1984. I was 20 years old. My parents were 44 and 47 before they bought their first house.
Mhm.
And they had an interest rate of 18%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I got into this business, I learned that my father, because my father was a veteran, he could have purchased a home with no money.
Wow.
And we were saving, he was saving all this time. And he ended up going a route to get the home with a construction loan with a high interest rate.
Mm.
Um, you know, years of, he probably could have bought a home 10 years sooner.
Earlier.
10 years, that's 10 years of equity. That's 10 years of lost wealth
Yeah.
that he missed out on, because no one told him. And
Mhm.
so when I got into the business, I was able to refinance them into a VA loan, into, just a regular interest rate VA loan. But he didn't know. He didn't
Right.
know. And so
Right.
I want to make sure
Keep it
that
moving.
people know what's available to them, whether
Yeah.
they're a veteran, whether they're, someone who doesn't have a lot of money saved up. People have all these misconceptions about what it takes to own a home, and they find out a lot of times that they've been ready.
Right.
On
Right.
paper, they've been ready. And so
Yeah.
it's a matter of getting them ready, their mindset, preparing their mindset to be able to purchase.
Yes, that's a beautiful story. And even the story about the young lady who purchased and having her son at settlement. One of the things I think about is it's a joy to have allow, these people that we're working with to allow us to come into their lives because, that is the joy. They trust us enough to
Absolutely.
bring us into our, their
Absolutely.
lives. They're in our lives, and we're able to share with them the knowledge and the experience that we have to get them what they want. And I think it's
Absolutely.
such a blessing. Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. So if you'd like to, can you go into, talk about maybe some of the mortgage programs?
Sure.
Lots of people want to know, like we mentioned, about the interest rates and programs. If you want to get into a little bit of that.
Yeah, sure. So, again, I'm the program queen, not the
Yes.
princess, but the queen.
Yes.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm licensed in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I specifically work with the programs in DC and Maryland. In DC, the HPAP program, which is HPAP, Housing Purchase Assistance Program, contributes up to $232,000 for down payment and closing cost assistance based on your income and your household size. That program is out of money right now until the fiscal year, so they aren't funding any loans now um, for people who are coming in. So,
Mhm.
if anyone wants to look at using that program, they can go in and actually apply and go through the process, because it is about a 10 to 12 week process of going through that program and actually getting approved for those funds. That's the program that the young lady used that just went to close last week. There's also DC Open Doors, which also contributes monies towards your down payment. So people talk about, wanting 100% financing. There are all kinds of ways to get 100% financing. So
Mhm.
there are all kinds of programs that will put up the monies for your down payment. So the state and the city will supply the funds for you for your down payment, and some of them will even have monies going towards your closing costs as well. And
Mhm.
so, we want to eliminate the excuses. I need people to stop disqualifying themselves and speak to a professional, and stop speaking to your cousins and your
Uh-huh.
uncles and your aunts,
Right.
because they mean well, but they don't know what's out there now. They just know how things were when they bought a house.
Right.
So in
Right.
speaking to a professional about, about what's available to you is important. The Maryland Mortgage Program, which is a down payment assistance program that's funded by the state, provides up to 6% in assistance. So that's enough to cover the down payment and monies to go towards closing costs.
Mhm.
And so, um, people are even able to factor in their student loans. There's a program that allows you to combine your student loans and have those paid off as part of your mortgage. So there, listen,
Yeah. There's so much.
it's so much. We just need to figure out, let somebody work with you to figure out what your goals are, what it is that you're trying to do. Ultimately, you're trying to stay in the house for 5 years, 10 years.
Mhm.
Are you purchasing a home because you want to look at it as the investment and renting it out later and maybe building on that? Are you looking to just get a home because you just want a house, you want to have your kids in a home? Like, whatever that is, let's figure out and tailor a mortgage program and some solutions around that, so that you can, achieve the goals that you're looking to achieve.
Right. And that goes back to your initial statement, talking to the person about their why, trying to figure out what do they want to do, not just today, I want to get in a home today, but maybe in 5 years, I want to be able to do this, or, like you were saying.
Absolutely.
So that's why
Absolutely.
talking to the person to really understand their situation and what they
Yes,
want to accomplish is so good. Yes, yes.
that's important.
It is. And you shared about, your dad, and I'm sure there's so many buyers out there right now that they don't know. And so would
They
you
don't know.
say that that's the biggest problem that a buyer might have today? What's their biggest challenge out there today?
I think that the biggest challenge is fear.
Okay.
It's fear. It's fear of a lot of things. Number one, you know, people have been told no so many times. They're afraid. They're
Mm-hmm.
afraid of being rejected again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So this is not about rejection. This is about finding out information.
that's right.
Let's find out. I'm not here to say, to put a stamp on you and say no.
Right.
I'm here to look at your information and let's figure out how. We're here to figure out the how. What
Mm-hmm.
is it that you have to do? Not
Mm-hmm.
me. What is it that you have to do
Right.
in order to be able to work your way into getting into a home? So, you know, it's the fear. It's the fear of losing the house. So people are so afraid of, getting into a home and losing it, they won't even get into it.
Right.
It's
That's true.
stressful. And listen, I get it. I get it. We had a market where people were losing, everybody was losing their houses.
Yeah.
And so you have some of those people, they have been renting since 2007,
Then. Yeah.
2008. Since the market crashed, they have been renting because they never want to go through that again. And
Yes.
so, being able to assist people with getting over that fear. And then a lot of times people don't trust themselves to make a decision. I never take things personally because I know that none of this has anything to do with me. But people are not seeking the information and the knowledge that they need in order to make an informed decision for themselves.
Yes.
So their fear of being taken advantage of or getting into something that's not to their benefit comes from them not
Just
having the
yeah.
information.
Right. Right. Right.
But that fear grips people, and it holds them in place.
Yes. Keeps them stuck. Keeps them stuck
Yes.
there. Yes. Well, it's been a great talking with you today. Is there anything else that you'd like to share that maybe I didn't ask you, but you're burning to say, or
Wow, wow. So I'm Rhonda, never met a Mike I don't like Lewis.
oh,
you know, um, when I think about home ownership, especially in the Black community, and I think about where we've been and where we've come from, um, in 1968, in April of 1968, the Fair Housing Act was passed, and that was 55 years ago, and about 42% of Black people were homeowners in 1968. And we are at 2023, 55 years later, and
mm-hmm.
that number is only at about 44%.
Yes,
And, you know, I just think about, like, with everything that has happened, with all the advancements that we've made, we're so much more educated and we're so much more knowledgeable. We have access to so much more information. The question still is, why are we not homeowners? Why are we not homeowners? Thinking about home ownership, I would just like to leave everybody with this. When when I talk to my clients about home ownership, I talk to them about paying for the roof over your head, just paying for the roof over your head. So when you're renting, you're paying for the roof over your head. When you invest in home ownership, you're paying for the roof over your head, but you're also contributing to your future every month with just by paying for that roof over your head. And you're building a savings account.
yes,
How? Because you're building equity in that home. So every month that goes by that you make a payment, and every month that goes by that the market, housing prices go up, you're just building a savings account
mm-hmm.
just by paying for the roof over your head.
Right,
That in time equates to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
right,
And so when you leave that apartment after 10 years, they give you your security deposit back if your kids haven't torn the place up. But when you get ready to leave that home, you can make some decisions about what to do with your savings that you built up just by paying for the roof over your head. You
Right.
can cash out, get your money, sell it, get your money, and put that towards a bigger, better home if that's what you desire.
Mm-hmm.
You can decide to, hey, I'm going to leave that money right there and I'm going to set up a whole new savings account because I'm going to rent that out and have that
Mm-hmm.
as an investment. I'm going to make money off of that every month, and that money's going to grow because we know what rent does. Rent goes up.
Right.
Okay. And I'm going to buy another house and I'm going to build a whole nother savings account. So you have options about what you
Yeah.
want to do with your monies that you earn just by paying for the roof over your head. So I would want people to start looking at home ownership, not just as the home that you live in, that you raise your kids in, but also looking at it as an investment, as
Yeah.
monies that you are investing in yourself and your future.
Future. That's so good. That's so good. And even though you didn't say this, they're paying a mortgage. It's just not theirs. It's the person that owns that property. Yeah. So that was
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Ab-
Wonderful. And the audience really needs to just rush to call you so that you can help them, just educating them, just basically what we've been doing for the last several minutes. And so this is how you can reach both Rhonda and myself. But Rhonda's information is here. Rhonda Lewis, Benchmark Mortgage, her phone number, email address. And again, Rhonda, it has been really great speaking with you
the
today.
pleasure has been mine.
Yes, and
Thank you.
we will connect again. Thank you and have a blessed day.
And you do the same.
All
Bye
righty.
bye.
Bye bye.